We're live. We are live. What's up,
You're
everyone?
live and in color.
hmm Happy to be here today. Thank you guys for joining us today on a Monday. We start off a little late today, but that's okay. Everyone's been very busy this whole entire time.
Yes, it's been a very, very eventful, feels like a month, the past month. Happy to be back. Thank you for coming. 8 people on already. This is awesome.
Love it.
Did y'all
Uh,
miss us?
yeah, we had quite an eventful, and it's not even over yet, Carolyn. We have how many walkthroughs for this week, right? I don't even
Three
know.
or four.
Yeah, got quite a lot of stuff to do still.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Where are you guys gonna be at tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going to be at College Station walking a property. And then I think we were supposed to have two, but one of them canceled because they had other offers they were entertaining. So we're going to walk one tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, maybe you or Myron, depending who, can go with us because they're all going to be in the DFW area. Three of them on Wednesday.
Sweet.
Yeah. Lots of
Love
property.
it. Yeah, we'd love to. Amazing. Tonight, this is more of our Q&A focused live, I should say, but we're going to focus it on what does our multifamily team look like, or what does a multifamily team look like? Oh, cute. Love that. We've been getting lots of questions surrounding what's a team? Who do I put on a team? What are their roles? How do you decide that? How many people should be on a team? All these things. So we're going to go over all those questions from our experience and our perspective.
Definitely. I think that's like the number one question that we're all getting every single time. And I know we did a matchmaking Zoom a while back, and that was a very good, successful Zoom. A lot of people found people that they could probably team up with, and maybe they're teamed up till this day. So we actually might have another one here coming up soon, Carolyn. I think KJ had mentioned something about that.
Yep.
Yep.
Probably by the end of the month,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And so if you guys are listening, all 14 of you, if you guys want to see another multifamily matchmaking Zoom, then put something, let us know in the chat, give us some feedback. And if you don't know what that is, then you definitely need to be there, especially if you're starting off in multifamily, you don't have any partners and you're doing this alone. You definitely need to be in that room because this multifamily is a team sport. You do not want to be doing this alone. It just makes it so much easier for you. Carolyn is an amazing, amazing person to be on the phone with brokers and investor relations and social media, all that stuff. She's good at it, so she stays in her lane, right?
Yes.
And Myron and Ione, Joseph, they're the integrators. They love doing all the analytical and data stuff. Perfect. Let them stay in their lane because me and Carolyn really we know it, but we don't care so much for it, right?
Right.
So
For sure.
if you're looking for a team, then you need to be in that Zoom. But we'll touch up a little bit on it today on what it is to have a what our team looks like, what our roles are, and just so you guys can have an idea of what you should be looking for based on our experience. Carolyn, do you remember when we first started doing multifamily?
Yes, it was kind of, I shouldn't say kind of, it was like haphazardly doing multifamily. We were just stumbling, and how do we look at a T12? Just stumped, really, but definitely wanting to put one foot in front of the other. And, you make a lot of mistakes and you obviously learn from them. And we were putting ourselves in rooms with people who were already doing multifamily. And like, working to provide value to them by these are the deals we're kind of sourcing, poke holes in them. Like poke holes in what we're doing and see the process that you're doing
Right.
because, we want to see how everyone's working and how it best aligns and how we work together and how we
Yeah.
flow together. So,
Yeah. And going back to what you said is we really didn't have a roadmap or a blueprint on what we should do, right? Because I know when I think you were there too, whenever Myron and I were looking at a deal, the very first one that came to our desk, it was a Brooklyn, New York multifamily deal. And Myron and I had no idea what we were looking at, like absolutely no idea. Now we knew what to do as far as finding a deal, sort of. I would say sort of. We were still messing with some wholesalers at that time, but I was the one, calling brokers. And as soon as the deals came by, I was like, Myron, do what you do best. And then Carolyn, I need help with this, and when we were starting to form our team, but we had no idea what we were doing, right? It was a lot of trial and error at the beginning. And even when we met KJ and Joseph and brought them to be part of the team, we still didn't really know what we were doing, right? Like we all had some sort of like responsibility as far as like, we need to find a deal. That was our goal. Just find a deal. But no one really knew what to do, right? It was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what's my role? Or can we sit down and talk about how we can contribute better, right? And having that conversation, I remember I was driving, I don't remember where to, or maybe I was going to Missouri, and we all got on a call, and we were all just talking about what is it that you like to do. And I remember this clearly because I remember talking to you, Carolyn, and you were like, I love social media. Like I love doing things with social media, and then I can talk to people. So building investor relationships and talking to brokers. Okay, cool. Let's focus on that.
right.
So and so, what do you like to do? I like to do this, right? Ione was like, I like to underwrite. I don't even think she hesitated. I think she was like, underwriting.
Underwriting, please. Nothing else. Yes.
Yeah, underwriting. And Joseph too. Joseph was kind of in that stage where he was trying to figure out still what he wanted to do, right? Because he could talk to people. If he really wanted to, you could put Joseph on the phone and he could talk to a broker or a seller. He was doing that before in single family, more or less out of necessity, right? Because,
Yeah.
they were just doing it themselves, right? So he had to wear all hats. But when we really sat down and we found out that he's really, really freaking good at numbers, like this dude can do, he's like a freaking human calculator, right? He can calculate things like that. And I suck with percentages and fractions, and he's like the guy, right? He's like,
Yep.
oh, you get a sixth of the percentage of this. And I'm like, bro, just tell me what it is, bro. I don't need to know the math, right? But he's that type of guy. So he found out what he wanted to do. And KJ, same thing, is like KJ loves to do, social media just like you, Carolyn, but she loves to talk to people as well. So she was like, I love talking to brokers. Put me up front, coach. I want to be the one in the front. Cool. Carolyn and KJ, y'all handle brokers. And then Myron and I, we sat down and talked, trying to figure out where we fit in too, because at the beginning, Carolyn, remember all of us were doing everything,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We
We
were
were just passing stuff around and it was just a mess.
It was a big mess. And so we had to sit down and really dive deep into what does it take to do an actual deal, because we've never done one before. So we knew that finding a deal is the first step, whether we find it from a wholesaler or a broker. Cool. What's after that, right? We don't know what to do. We look at the T12, the rent roll. Okay, cool. We underwrite it. And then what, right? Then it's okay. Let's talk about LOIs. Okay, cool. We figured that out. Now what? Okay, now it's time to negotiate a purchase and sell agreement, a PSA. Okay, cool. We don't know what a PSA looks like in multifamily. What do we even do, right? And then after that, like what's after the PSA when you sign it? Due diligence. Oh, cool. Like what does due diligence even mean? Like that's our inspection period. Okay, well, how many days is that supposed to be, right? And then there's a closing period after that. Well, how many days is that supposed to be, right? During due diligence, what are we supposed to be even doing, Carolyn? Right? Like, what is it that goes into the due diligence period aside from inspecting the units? Well, now we know what a lot of that stuff is now. But after that, or after due diligence and then closing period, what does that entail with the lender, right? What do we need to do? And then after we close it, then what happens after that, right? Like we
Yeah.
close the deal. Okay, cool. What's going to happen after that if we're going to be operating this deal?
The investors' money,
Right, I forgot
property
to cover that.
management,
Yeah,
asset management. What's our exit strategy going to be? All these different things piled into one.
exactly. So there's a lot of things that go into doing a deal just to get it under contract and then closing it. And that's why understanding what it really takes to do a deal and the work that it takes, then you start to realize, man, this is a team sport. Now I know why some of these experienced investors who own properties are like, they look at a wholesaler's deal and they're like 3%. I'm like, bro, what did you do? Right? Because it takes a lot of work. And you're expecting me to pay you 3% on a deal that you just forwarded to me on an email, but you're going to sit back and just take all the
Take
profit.
the cake. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Sure.
I
Why
mean,
not?
there's just a lot of things. Like I guess from your perspective, Carolyn, when someone who's watching right now and they're looking to maybe assemble a team or be part of a team, they're newer, maybe they don't know what they're doing, just like we were when we first started. What kind of advice would you give them to point them to the right direction, like they can get started somehow, some way with the team?
I think first and foremost, it starts with, do you align with who you are actually going to potentially building a team with? You have to have some sort of alignment. Sure, everyone has their differences and whatever, but like, you don't want to be working with someone that's going to butt heads all the time. Like, you're going to feel that. I would at least hope for the most of you, you're going to feel that like synergy, if there is synergy. And this isn't something that you can necessarily create out of nowhere. You might be able to, but it's going to be a lot harder. So I'd say first and foremost, take a look at the people that are potentially going to be in your circle for this. And okay, do we have like a good basic understanding of like our values? Do we align in for the majority of what we're doing?
But let me stop you there, Carolyn, because how important was that for us to establish in the beginning, and then to add a second question to that is, I think once you align with someone when you're working with them, right? Because for us, we just knew that we aligned, right? So how does one person on second question is how does one person know that they align with that team?
I think it's a matter of having some hard conversations and get used to them, right? This especially multifamily, I say, has a lot of hard conversations involved in doing this business. Not only the multifamily itself, but the team that is doing the work on it. Are you going to be able to have hard conversations in a productive manner with everyone on your team? Or are you going to be constantly fighting and like having defense mechanisms in place? Like, have those hard discussions of, where do you see your goals going towards? Is this just like you want to wholesale, you want to get some assignment fees off some multifamily? Do you actually want to like build a portfolio and build wealth in that? Like, what are the goals? Because if someone wants a wholesale fee and someone else doesn't,
There's going to be some conflict.
there's friction. There's
Yeah.
going to be like, well, what the hell are we doing here? Um, or you have to have a, sure, we all would love to have a cool, nice, fat assignment check here and there, but we also want to build our portfolio. Like, we also, where do you want to work? What markets do you want to work in? Where do you want to long-term buy and hold? Where do you want to be? Oh, someone's in California and someone else is in Florida. Well, like, like, you
Yeah.
have to have those, um, I guess it feels granular in the moment, but like, you have to have those hard discussions
It's like
of,
a upfront conversation or upfront
exactly.
contract,
It's a
right?
lot of
The
upfront.
expectations, and you probably won't know every single bit of expectations you should set up front, because I know for us it was a learning lesson. right? Like we had to align ourselves. Like I think I want to touch up on what you said, Carolyn, is you really have to find out like for us, like yes, it would be amazing for us to have a juicy, big fat assignment fee, right? But we know that this is not a get rich quick type of thing, right? This is a long term wealth building industry that we're here to do, right? We're here to do big things. And I know KJ and Joseph are here. Guys, put some fires in the chat for these amazing power couple here. They just walked the property with Carolyn's amazing husband, Myron. Two properties today in Houston. How many units was it, KJ?
119 for one of them, and then the other one was 44 units.
Mm. And look at these
That's
guys.
cute.
The team is still
Exciting.
grinding all day,
I
every day.
know we just got home. That's why we had to get some food real fast and scarf it down so we could hop on.
And they're still hopping on for this project. Man,
We miss you guys. I know
amazing.
we've been gone for a while, so we got to get back on and start giving value.
Yeah. And I want to catch you guys up a little bit. I know you might have been listening, but we're talking about how we can get started and how our team looks, what our like roles are. And Carolyn was just touching up on how important it is for when you start looking for that team and you're working with potential partners to have those upfront conversations, those that upfront contract, right? Of the expectations and the standards to make sure that you all align. Guys, how many times, and I'll go to I know Joseph's eating, I don't want to put him on spot, but KJ, Carolyn, how many times did we have to sit down as a team to refine everything that we needed to do in order for us to be on the same page?
A lot. I
We've
think
done it several times and we're still doing it.
I think it constantly changes as we grow and learn, or we come to a new obstacle that we're like, okay, guys, how do we get over this? How do we jump over this obstacle? What were you gonna
That
say, Carolyn?
well, I'm like really resonating with what you're saying, KJ, because like think about that. If you're not able to, if someone on your team is not open to growth and change and evolving as you scale and grow, like you got to know that. Like you got to figure that out. So that's really important. Are you going to be adaptable?
Right.
Be able to have adult, productive conversations if you have a difference of opinion,
Hmm.
but be able to adapt and evolve and grow is vital.
Right. Now, when we first started, guys, because there's people in here who are asking questions like, where do I find brokers, or where do I even find my first deal? Right? Where can I find deals? Someone who's brand new, brand new to this whole thing, right? And they're trying to get started. Um, how about we start this? What are our roles in our team, and what do we do so people have an idea of who we are and what it takes for us to run our business, our team, and that way they can have an idea. So let's start with Joseph, and then we'll go to KJ, Carolyn, and then me.
For sure. What's up, guys? Good to see y'all. My roles in the team, I have two primary roles. Well, I guess three primary roles. And like the rest of us, we kind of just fill in the gaps where needed. We all have our primary roles that we are responsible for. So my primary roles is underwriting. Obviously, you guys probably have seen me on here a couple times. Underwriting, asset management, which is after you close on the property and you guys now own the property. Asset management is literally that. You are managing the asset. You're managing all of the people you put in place, and you're essentially the chain of command or point of contact for everyone to go through, and you're that key person that make sure that everything you underwrote actually happens. That's asset management. And then I also talk to lenders. So my third responsibility is in charge of talking to lenders. So those are my three primary roles, and we all kind of have our own thing. So KJ, Carolyn.
And real quick, I see some questions in the chat. We'll get to your questions, guys. We'll just get over this real quick, and then we'll answer some questions. But go ahead, KJ.
My role is building relationships with brokers and sourcing deals, raising capital, I don't know, social media. We kind of the face of everything. I'm the one who is helping. Well, Carolyn too. Me and Carolyn we're a couple in this. Me and her, we help grow the community. We're working on not only building our community within our group, like our team, but also like with all of you guys too, because we want to do deals with everyone here. We want to make money with everyone and start, teach you guys how to do what we're doing too. But my main role is building these relationships with brokers so that way they call us first. They give us the details about the deals and things like that. I actually had someone ask me today, like, how do I get over the hurdle with the brokers? and it's funny because I don't have that issue anymore, but thinking back, I used to, like building that credibility or having the confidence to have that conversation with the broker to where that wall comes down and they trust you. Because now I don't remember the last time I sent a proof of funds or a bio or any of those things. When you build a relationship with a broker, they're calling me saying, hey, like the buyer on this property is retrading. They want you to come in. I was like, yes, okay. So really, I'm the one who's like sourcing all the deals, or me and Carolyn both source deals, but we're sourcing deals and then we're then passing those deals on to our underwriters to see if it's something that like fits. And then we're kind of like the, how do you say it? I'm like the communicator, making sure I'm scheduling the walkthroughs, making sure I'm getting the financials, just making sure, putting all the puzzles together, the pieces
like a
together.
coordinator.
Yeah, a coordinator, I guess you could say.
Perfect.
She's giving you claps back there.
I know.
Yeah, Piper clapping her cheeks back there.
It was her ears. She goes like this. Yeah.
So cute.
Like how?
Leave me alone.
So basically a lot of what KJ just said, like, again, we do the same thing, like alongside each other. I want to pause and say that KJ is phenomenal in what she does in her role, and she deserves a lot of credit because she doesn't have two kids running around just yet. There's a lot of things that we do alongside each other. However, I have to juggle a little couple kids on the side. So it's like, I feel like KJ does a lot of that where I need to meet and like deliver as well. But I'm definitely in the social media space with her. I'm giving a lot of like side guidance and like, let's do it this way. We co-conspirate. Is that the word I want to say? We like work
together.
Yeah, I don't think so, but we'll rock with it.
Okay. You know what I'm trying to say. We like bring the minds together to get the point across in whatever we're doing. So we definitely bounce ideas back and forth off of each other. We're establishing relationships. We're definitely the face of our communities and everything. We like to be the social butterflies and like, we like to have fun. So yes.
Hey, you too, Carolyn. You do a lot, and we love you, and you give you so much credit as well. And I mean, this is a great point of having a team is being able to lean on each other. Because when this baby comes, I'm gonna have to lean on y'all.
That's exactly what I wanted to say earlier too. Is like, we are able to lean on each other. If I'm not able to, like, I'm in the middle of like picking up my daughter from school, like KJ's got it, or like I can handle social media stuff or whatever. Like, I need help with this, or like, how do we put this together, or whatever that is. So we can go back and forth. And I think that's a really important character and value within your team. If you are able to lean on each other when you need to, or just for a sounding board or whatever that is.
Yeah. And Carolyn doesn't give herself enough credit because in reality, she works very closely with the underwriters as well. because she has to help structure some of the pitch and slide decks that we do for our investors, right? And that's very key because you have to present those slide decks in a certain way where you're not going to lose those investors, right? Because if you present a slide deck for a deal that you're working on and it's like 10 plus pages or maybe like a 40 plus page or like a spreadsheet of a bunch of numbers, you're going to lose your investors like that. You will lose them. KJ is a prime example. When the underwriting comes, she's gone.
She's like, mute, camera off. Like, I love it.
I'm so thankful. Like, I felt like it should have been both of us, but I know Carolyn kind of took lead on that, and I felt like I should be doing something, but Carolyn did so well with it. Like, she is so good with like portraying her message across. That's why sometimes I'm like, what do I say in my post? I was like, because I'm very blunt, and Carolyn's good at painting the story and putting things together. So like, she totally killed it on our pitch deck, and I was like, man, I feel bad. Like, I feel like I need to be doing something, but she's doing so good. Like, I just rather let her do her thing.
No, don't feel bad at all, because
it's so like, she makes it so professional and easy for anyone that in our team to just look at the slides for like the quick 5-10 minutes, and we know the gist of it already. And so that was key because we actually pitched one of our deals to our mentor, and guess whose slide deck we used? Carolyn's. Oh, she's this way. Carolyn, right?
Y'all want me to make slide decks for you? I would love that.
Good, because I don't want to do it.
we had the best looking one, Carolyn.
I love it.
For real. We had the best looking one. And she works very closely with our underwriters, is what I'm trying to say, alongside with KJ. Like, they work hand in hand. Like, definitely good that we have Carolyn. And we didn't even speak on Myron because he's not here, right? But do you want to tell him a little bit about your amazing husband,
Absolutely. Carolyn? He's amazing. Everyone knows that. He's like such a light for all of us and just provides so much compassion and support. He is the seller finance king of everything. You hear it's like he has sonar or radar. Like, anytime someone says seller finance, like, he's already on it. We got to deck him out in some seller finance gear, but he's amazing at deal structuring. He obviously went on walkthroughs today. He's very good at like poking holes and like, what's going on here, asking. He's very good at critical thinking. I'm going like tangent off of our role typically, but like, he's very good at the critical thinking and like asking the hard questions when some of us don't necessarily want to ask them yet or don't know. Like, Myron's just very like analytical and to the point in a very loving and kind way for the most part. He's focused on deal structuring, like I said, with Oscar, and he does a great job at building relationships as well for raising capital. We all kind of have a key role in raising capital because everyone on your team should have that tool in their tool belt of, divide and conquer and like go talk to different people and bring back the money for the deal, right? So he just has like an amazing presence, and I'm super lucky to be doing this with him and having this team to be working on.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, yeah, you definitely did.
I mean, I
want to add one part. It's kind of funny because
hilarious.
I asked Myron just like maybe 20, probably 30 minutes ago now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I asked Myron, I said, Myron, why did you drive all the way down to Houston from Dallas to come see this property? And he was like, "Cuz, bro, assumable loan and seller finance, I'm there." I was like, "Oh, wow, I was just to come see us." He's like, "Well, that too." Like, that's the point. Like, he loves seller finance. So the fact that there was an opportunity for a deal like that, he's there. So I just wanted to touch on that. I thought it was funny because you're like, he loves seller finance.
Yeah,
he does.
At some point, he does love seller finance.
I mean, he loves anything creative.
Yeah.
But like, the dude will like deal structure all night long. Like, it doesn't matter. He loves
Guys,
it.
we need to put some fires in the chat. Guys, put fires in the chat for Myron because he drove this morning from Dallas to Houston and he left early. I think he left like at 6:30 or something
He
like that.
did.
Right?
He
He
did.
left early and he's probably on his way driving back from Houston all the way to
He's on
Dallas.
his way home.
That's how dedicated our team is. I mean, we'll drive anywhere if we need to, right? We don't ask questions, but let's go get the deal done, right? And so that was Myron and Carolyn, power couple, just like KJ and Joseph, power couple. And then my significant other is underwriting deals right now. That's why she's not here, right? That's all she does is I think she eats, breathes, sleeps underwriting. She dreams about this one property in Houston that just came back on the market.
Oh.
So she's happy. She's looking at the financials right now.
I know when I got the call, I was like, Ioni's gonna be so happy. I was like, I called it. Like the broker's like, we already got a buyer. You have to put in your offer by Friday. And I was like, I'm gonna call their bluff. I was like, we're not coming up on our price. I was like, how much you want to bet? Like something's gonna happen. And then when I got that phone call today, I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, let me message Ioni. She's gonna be so happy. That was awesome.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
Ione is one of our underwriters in our team. She is the go-to for underwriting. She can look at a T12, she can look at a rent roll and OM and dissect the deal like amazing. Like I think when I see her underwriting, I can see like her freaking brain is electricity or something. I don't know. I can just see something burning in her head, right? She's so to it, like it's crazy.
It's like the new speedometers, right? Where it puts it up on the dash where the window is. That's what she does with the numbers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Her RPMs.
100 miles per hour immediately. And so she underwrites a lot of the deals. She's a very good. She finds a lot of things that we need to look at when it comes to property. Right when she's looking at the underwriting before we go on a walkthrough, she goes, "Here's what you need to ask because I saw this in the financials and it doesn't make any sense, or I have questions about it. Go ask." Right, like this morning, KJ. Right,
She had a whole document. She had a whole document typed up, ready to go for us. I was like, man, this is why I love her.
Yep, all those questions.
We were coming to sit down to go do exactly that. And as soon as we come to sit down and have our team meeting, she's like, "Oh, yep, already done it. Here you go."
I love her.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so she's one of the underwriters. So everyone kind of works together with someone here, right? So like Ione and Joseph, they work very closely together as the underwriters in asset management. That's kind of their roles. And she leans heavily on Joseph too, because Joseph talks to the lenders. So she needs that information in order to plug it into the analyzer whenever she gets it from Joseph and Joseph gets it from the lender. And then KJ and Carolyn work very closely together because they're deal sourcing. They're talking to brokers, investors. They're working on presentations and all this other stuff, right? And then me and Myron work very closely together as far as deal structure, capital raising. Basically, whatever Myron does, that's kind of what I do too, right? And so whenever we go under due diligence, a lot of the stuff that happens in the due diligence period, Myron and I are the ones taking lead on that, right? So we're talking to attorneys, we're talking to getting quotes from insurance, we're getting quotes from inspectors or inspections. We're working all the stuff that needs to be done during the due diligence period and even prior to that, right? Like we have to make sure that the deal is structured correctly. We have to make sure that the contract looks good. We have to make sure all these little items that during the due diligence period, you have to be on top of. You have to be on top of it, right? And so that's what me and Myron work very closely. But at the same time, like we're also pitching deals. Like Myron and I, during the due diligence or even prior to that, we're sitting down talking to our investors, pitching our deals and raising capital. And it's cool because, like I said, Carolyn puts it in a presentation where she paints the picture. All I have to do is tell the story, right? It's already there for me. I just gotta articulate it. And then where Myron comes in, whenever we both do a presentation, is Myron is very good at answering any questions or filling in the gaps where I don't see it. And that's why I love having Myron as part of my whenever I go and talk to a seller, because I will be able to communicate effectively. But Myron just thinks of these questions or just knows what to ask immediately. And sometimes he'll ask it in a way where he doesn't even know that he's closing the seller himself.
It's true. He's like the accidental closer. It's insane.
I love it.
It's so incredible because I'm sitting there, I'm gonna ask the question, but Myron will beat me to it, and he closes it. I don't know how he does it. It's like he has this charisma of him or something like that, right? Where he asked it and he doesn't even think twice about it. Sometimes he's like, "Oh, did I say that?" Right? But
No, he just
he gets the
goes.
answer he's looking for.
He just goes.
Yeah. And so that's why I love having meetings with, like, if I ever have a meeting with a seller, I need one of my integrators there with me. I need one of my, whether it's Joseph or Myron or whatever it may be, I need one of those in there because they are the ones that kind of play, we play off of each other's strengths, right? It's kind of like a good cop, bad cop, but we're not there to sabotage anything. We're just there to fill in the gaps, right? And so everyone here works kind of like a couple, right? Where Ione and Joseph are working closely together. KJ and Carolyn work closely, and me and Myron work very close together. But at the same time, we all work with each other because we have to understand some of the underwriting too, right? I know it's KJ's favorite topic, underwriting, but at some level, guys, you all have to understand even the basics of it because at some point you're going to talk about your deal, and if an investor asks you, "What's the return look like for my money?" you have to be able to articulate that, right? You don't have to know the entire little everything little single bit about it. You just need to know enough, right? And it's key to have a team member because if someone's there with you, you don't know the answer. Like sometimes I don't know, but I have Joseph or Myron on the call, and guess what? They know, right? And they can back us up. Like they'll ask me, "What's the cash on cash return?" Like, Joseph, what is it?
He'll know it to the T.
Don't know it, right? Like what's the capex? Joseph, what's the capex? Right? So,
It's enough to get you to invest.
Oh,
exactly.
that's awesome.
So that's kind of all the roles, guys. In a nutshell, Joseph, Ione, underwriters, asset management. KJ, Carolyn, deal source, broker outreach, investor relations. Myself, Myron, deal structure, and capital raisers. But all of us, again, we do capital raising, all of us. There's been a lot of times where Joseph has saved our butt because we needed to raise some capital, and KJ and Joseph, they came through, right? And that's not necessarily their role, but they still help out, right? Because we all still need to somehow do capital raising as well. It's important. But that's kind of what our team consists of. And I hope you guys are taking notes because I basically gave you our blueprint on what we do, right?
Yeah.
And so we have some basic questions in the chat, like where do I find a deal or something like that. Maybe we can highlight those, Joseph, and start answering some questions in the chat.
Yeah, let me just scroll to the top here.
While he's scrolling, I want to briefly say that sometimes people need a visual for this to see, like, what exactly does that blueprint look like? We're going to make one. I need to make one. We need to make one. But for now, think of it, a lot of us here are in sub 2, or they know what the Sandler submarine looks like, right? So I like to think of it like that submarine of like, how does it start? And you work your way through it, right? It's a shorter submarine, let's say, but like KJ and I are the face. Starts with us. We pull the leads in. We have those relationships built with the brokers and sellers and everybody else. And then it works to the middle to where Ione and Joseph are underwriting it. And then kind of in the mix and also at the end, mainly the end of it, is Oscar and Myron, who are doing the deal structure, doing the lender calls, raising capital, all those things. So think of it in compartments and like what people fit into those compartments, if that helps.
I also saw someone ask, how do I find my team and how many people do I need on my team? So, yeah, I know we had asked this question to our mentor too before, and it really is like, hold on, Cora. It's really like right now, I think we're good. But as we grow bigger, you're going to need more people and you're going to find those spots that you need to fill. So, like, don't try and build out this whole team with people you don't even need yet. I think you grow as you go. Like, you add people as you see fit or as you see need. Like, and for finding your team, I think that's why we're building this community and why we started this Facebook group that we have, because we want to have like-minded people who want to build a team, learn how to do it. And, you know, I know there's a lot of Facebook groups that are just like thousands of people or lots of spam. So I'm trying to keep this like organic, like people who come or like word of mouth and things like that. I'm not trying to like push it heavily for people to join. It's like people who are serious about multifamily and want to learn, like it's a great place to like connect and find out who's doing what. And we're gonna have another matchmaker Zoom soon. We'll have to pick a date. And the last time we had that, we had people come on, pitch what they're good at, what they like doing, and what they're looking for. And it was really great because then you can hear and actually see who you vibe with, and, you know, get a feeling of who's doing what and maybe connect with people. Because I know sometimes it's hard on social media, like through message, to like kind of feel out who's doing what. So we'll host another Zoom for you guys to come on, and we make it about you guys, not us. We the whole Zoom is about you guys sharing what you like to do, where you're at, what you're looking for, and then hopefully you guys can find. I figure that's a great way to help find your team member, because for us, we went looking like who's doing multifamily. We got on a Zoom and we're like, how can we learn together? That's literally how we found each other. And we just happened to vibe really well, and now we're like family, and I can't imagine life without them. But I love you guys. But like, it's really important to be with someone that you enjoy being with too, because like we work hours in, like day in, day out, and we really depend on each other. So like, you have to make sure that you enjoy working with the people that you choose, and make sure that you have core values and that you align with, and things like that. Being able to have hard conversations, like Carolyn mentioned before, because it's not all roses and butterflies every day. Sometimes you're going to have hard conversations or come across things or maybe feel some type of way. So like, if you're able to express those feelings and say, hey, you know, this made me feel this way, or I think differently on this decision, we should do it this way, but being able to come in the middle and decide, I think that's really important.
100%.
I just wanted to say that. But now we can go on questions if y'all want.
I'm done preaching, I guess.
This one's for you guys.
Where would I start looking for multifamily deals? Braulio asks. I hope I'm saying that name right. Just depends on who you have available on your team. If you have a team, like, I think I have a straightforward answer, and I have kind of a bit of a long-winded answer, because it's going through this kind of brought up more information in my head. So like, and KJ can chime in if she agrees or disagrees, but there feels like a beginning point, especially when you're doing this solo or you're trying to get your feet together to build a team, but you're kind of on your own. A lot of people do look at like wholesales or like go into Facebook groups and find multifamily deals. And there's nothing wrong with that. There isn't, but you have to vet them appropriately and properly if you're going to go that route. You can definitely do that. I think to a degree, people doing that who are kind of a solo act, it feels a little bit more feasible. It feels a little bit more approachable versus picking up the phone and talking to brokers straight out of the gate, because that's another level of intimidation, at least for me and for KJ. Like, we knew what that felt like in the beginning, and we were like, I don't know how to handle these questions. I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. So I think you need to figure out your goals and like where you specifically are, your avatar in this, and go from there. And then obviously brokers, direct to seller. Like you pull a list for a direct to seller within a certain range of units, and you could probably find some. You could probably dig some up. That's amazing. That's the role you want to be in. You want to be direct to that seller. KJ and I were like, okay, let's call brokers. We are direct to seller for some, but we do a lot of broker outreach. Build relationships because they're going to keep feeding you. They're going to keep feeding you deals. That's how we looked at it. A seller could have, sure, they could have a portfolio behind them that we could establish relationship and they could sell the whole thing to us, but maybe they're one trick pony and they only have one property. I don't know what, everybody's different. So we think, okay, let's go talk to brokers, keep bringing in those deals.
Hey, Carolyn.
Hey, Joseph.
I'm brand new and I don't know any brokers. Where would I find these brokers?
Ooh, okay. Go to your local meetups. Go to your local real estate meetups. Go to your RIAs. Some of them are like super dry and boring, but you're going to find them in there. Go on loopnet.com. Go on Crexy. Go to your market that you want to look in and find brokers in that area and just start cold calling them. Because a lot of those brokers are like, I don't do multifamily. I don't do this. You got to like weed through them. Or maybe they do multifamily, but they do development. You don't want to be in development, or maybe you do. Like it just depends on what you want to do. So yeah, they're definitely right in your community. Go look in Facebook groups. They're online, they're on Crexy, they're on LoopNet, and they're in your local communities. You just got to get out there and do it.
Boom. KJ,
Boom.
anything to add?
I think personally the easiest route is to talk to brokers. Like get over your fear of talking to them. I did it, you can do it. Don't be a big baby. It's just talking to a broker. Like it's easier talking to sellers. Like I don't like talking to sellers. Talking to brokers is way easier, and I like it because they're direct to seller. And with wholesalers, they lie every single day. Like I'm brokers. And also they're on your side a lot of times too, or they can get information from the other broker. Like if they're a buyer's broker and they're talking to a listing broker, well, a lot of times like they're able to break that barrier sometimes and get more information, or like do work for you, put them to work. Like if you're going to pay a wholesale fee or a commission regardless, would you rather have somebody working for you or somebody who just sent you an email and now wants a 3% buyer's fee?
You tell we've gone through some stuff.
I mean, these are just lessons learned.
We've found our own way. Yes, for sure.
But there's just so many benefits, and like you just make good friendships with them. Like there's one guy, like I told him, hey, you should invest with us. And he was like, wow, like that would change my life. I like really appreciate the opportunity. And I'm like, how have you been doing this for so long? And like, you don't own any properties and you're not investing. Like some of these brokers don't think to do that or haven't been presented the opportunity. So like, not only are we changing like our lives, we'll get to change the broker's life and their family. And he calls me and we don't even talk about business the first 10 minutes. We're talking about family and what we've been up to and things like that. So like these are people that you want to be friends with. Like this is a long-term relationship, and he's calling me almost every other day, sending me deals. Like I don't need to call any more brokers. So it's like now I've just got friends that call me that send me deals. And I love that. Like I can barely keep up with the stuff that he's sending me, which is a good problem to have.
Is that our favorite guy?
No, it's a different one. Ione actually talked to him.
Ione and her got on the phone. It was so amazing. I was so proud of her because they worked just like Myron and I did. They tag teamed it and they did so good. It went to the point where KJ was just saying that she probably raised some capital with this dude. She was like asking him questions like, "Do you invest? Like, would you be interested?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, it'd be life changing. I would love to invest." And I was listening. I was like, "Dang, these
I
women,
owe you too.
Carolyn, KJ, and Ione, they don't need us, Joseph."
Don't tell them that, though. Don't tell them that.
They
I was
really, we
so
really
wrong.
don't, but no,
Yeah.
it's good.
No, I was doing the same thing. I was sitting right here in this chair, and she was in the living room, and I heard her. I heard her say the whole conversation, and I was like, "Damn, she really just pitched him that." Like the first time she talked to him, she pitched him investing with him. It was like done deal. That'd
And
be amazing.
you know what's funny? Well, first off, I'm super proud of Ione getting out of her comfort zone and really like getting on the phone and like having these conversations. Because like everybody tag teams, right? Well, like Ione's my underwriter. Like they'll ask me about the numbers. I'm like, I don't know. It's like Ione, like I need you. So she'll get on the phone with me and I'll handle the conversation. And then when I need her, she'll pitch in with stuff about the deal and the questions that we have. But like I love seeing her grow too. And it's funny because this broker sent us a deal that we already had. But Ione's like, KJ, I like this guy. Like, I want to work with this guy. We can pay him. Like, even though we already have the financials, we already seen the deal. She's like, this guy is awesome. And like, we want to get him paid. So like, we were willing to like, hey, even though we already have this deal from someone else, like from that actual direct broker, like we're willing to work with you and just pay you because like that's how much we enjoy your relationship. And so that's what, like, working with brokers is great. Like I really enjoy it, and I think it will bring a lot of fruit your way. And like I mean, it didn't happen overnight. Carolyn and I called over 500 brokers to find these good brokers, but just don't be intimidated and be yourself. Be honest with them. Let them know what you're doing, what you're trying to do, that, you know, hey, I want to grow with you. I want us to make money together, and this is what I'm trying to do, and I want to see how we can work together. And that's kind of how we go about it.
Well said. Well said. All right. So there is a question here. Being bombarded with people wanting to team up, but hardest part is vetting them properly. How are they vetted and make sure they are good?
Mm, I think that's a question that is really complicated to answer because there's a lot of times where when we met all of us together, we all aligned instantly. We were just so grateful that everything happened. Like we are all aligned, but it doesn't mean we didn't have our. I wouldn't even call it disagreements. I would just say like our more like opinions and more like a what should we do? Like let's talk about this because we're kind of lost. You know, just a bunch of things that came up. We not necessarily didn't ever like argue on anything. We just talked about it, right? And I think for someone that doesn't align with you, I think you'll be able to tell very quickly, very very quickly, because there was a few partners that we've gone through that we just didn't align. Like after the first or second meeting, we just knew, right? We just kind of knew, like mindset or habits or communication or something was just off, right? And most of the time, when your gut is telling you something, you should listen to your gut, right? I think the women in our team can discern very well. And that's why it's important to have, if you have a spouse, have them be part of your team because it's important to have that spouse that you can talk to. But all of our amazing women in our team are so good at discernment. They really are. Like they gut feeling, we trust, right? And they're normally 99% of the time right. So I think for me personally, maybe you guys can chime in a little bit, but it's just being aligned, and you'll be able to tell quickly. Like you'll be able to tell very fast, right? If they're fit or not. And if they're not, that's okay. Do what I think Pace would say, like the dating phase, right? Like just work together to see if you can do your first deal, And if everything goes smooth, like chemistry's there, you guys align, cool, continue to do deals together. But if that one first deal does not work, it's okay. Maybe you finish the deal, maybe you don't, but you walk away and no harm, no done. At least you guys didn't get into a permanent partnership. Those are my thoughts.
I
I
agree.
agree.
Dating phase, important.
Yes,
Yeah.
You
absolutely.
don't just sleep with them on the first night.
PG, babe.
That was PG. How did you learn to underwrite the MF units?
That's all you, bro.
So I actually had two great mentors. The first one is our super special secret weapon, Ione. She went line by line and explained what a T12 is with myself and KJ. KJ really didn't pass that class. Kind of just zoned out in the back. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, she sat down with me, and because I said I want to learn, I want to know how this works. I want to understand what I'm looking at when I do this. And so she sat down with me. We went over it. I think maybe it took like 2 or 3 tries before I understood it. And then they're kind of just like, all right, here, underwrite this, see how it looks. And, it went pretty great. And I had her, and I also had our mentor, Carlos, as well. And with both of them teaching us different tips and tricks, that's how I learned how to underwrite. But we do a bunch of videos. If you're just looking for basic understanding, we already have that content for free in the featured tab on our Facebook group. We're also going to be doing a service soon. If you want to just pay for somebody to do your underwriting and not have to worry about it, we'll be doing that too. And we'll also be doing a service to help teach a little bit more about underwriting. But those are coming soon. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and Mary, just to add on that, Mary, Ione and I paid to learn underwriting. It's not something that we learned on YouTube University or Google, right? We had to go pay someone or a group that we're still paying right now because we want to continue to grow. It's a monthly subscription that we pay for, and we learn that underwriting on our own. So that's where she learned most of it. And she also, she's got her own library. That's my little small library in the back, but she's got her own library too. It's all about asset management, underwriting, apartments, blah, 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 you name it. Like even podcasts and stuff. She'll listen to Tim Bratz and Brad Sumrock and all these other big players out there on how to structure deals. And she keeps learning every day. So she doesn't stop. Like keep doing it. Because on top of that, Mary, we presented our underwriting to one professional CPA and underwriter who's part of our mentorship with Carlos, and the underwriting that Joseph and Ione did on that particular property was very spot on. And this is prior to them bringing it to a professional. So the amount of time and energy and work they put into learning underwriting was very, very spot on, because even the professional underwriter said, man, you guys underwrote this very conservatively, but it makes so much sense. And you guys did a very good job. He didn't have to add anything else other than making the numbers look a little bit better because of the more accurate information we brought them. But they were very spot on to a professional, and very proud of these underwriters because amazing job that they did to learn all that stuff.
Like your dad does. Did you see me, KJ?
Mm-mm.
All that. That's funny. But I appreciate it, man. I really do. And I know Ione does. I appreciate her. But that's how we learned. We put money where our mouth is, and we started learning. We took action, massive action. How big is our team? Six
people.
All right, looking for another one. I'm kind of confused by the question.
I think they were having a conversation in the.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing. Anytime I see a question mark, I just pull it up. Okay. Who are your lenders? I know you raise money other ways, but do you guys have a specific HML? So we use commercial lending. We don't use hard money. We use commercial lending. There's also private money lenders out there, like private money lending firms, not just one person. I mean, you could find one person, but that's kind of like a unicorn, or you've already been doing a lot of work. So any commercial lender that lends on multifamily assets, that is a solid lender to look into. Then you want to do more vetting, find out, same as if you're finding a new partner on your team, because that's essentially what they are. They're a new person on your team. And you just kind of want to talk to them a little bit more. You want to make sure that they could be a loan broker, but you want to make sure that whoever they are brokering for, they are a direct lender, meaning that the money that they are giving you is their money and they're not essentially wholesaling another lender. I hope that makes sense. So let me put it this way. There's lenders out there that they'll go and they'll, write their quote for you and do everything and give you the quote, but they don't actually have the money. They have a person on their other end, or persons, multiple people that have the money, and they get the final approval after they've already given the quote. So you want to make sure you're dealing with a direct lender, someone that has the money. They are the people that are going to be loaning, or up front that it is a loan broker. So those are some tips and tricks that we've learned.
Good
I don't know if I just
information.
missed it, but did you mention a name for a lender? Because I see that follow-up question.
I do have a couple, but I don't know that I necessarily want to put it out here. So if you want to reach out to me directly, then definitely.
Perfect.
Where would I find lenders? Google them. Google
Meetups.
array of meetups, real estate meetups. Same way you would find anybody else, a broker, an investor, or private money, and you find lenders all over the place. If you go to specifically multifamily meetups, you will find lenders there, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I'm looking through questions too.
Yeah, if you see one, pull it up. Mary says, "Are you all sub 2?" Yes, we are. We are all sub 2.
So is Mary.
Fantastic.
We love our sub 2 family.
Here's the next one. How did the Houston walkthrough go? I'm sure I missed it. Also, have another Houston deal to submit to Podium unless you already seen it. So we did 2 today, and they both went well. But come to the Friday weekly recap. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. So we'll probably go in more detail about the walkthroughs then. And I'll have our underwriters check Podio. Stay in my lane.
Thank you. I see one.
Pull it up.
How do y'all structure it with investors usually? Equity deals or as PML?
Oh, good question.
That is a good question.
Do we have a name of this person?
So let me look on Facebook.
So this one's a little bit more advanced in how you structure with your investors usually. Like if you are syndicating a deal, meaning that you're pulling other investors' money for your deal, right? Then your typical splits are 70-30. And there's 2 categories to your investors. There's LPs, or limited partners. Those are the people who just put in money, right? Your investors who put the money in. And then you have the GPs, the general partners, who are the people who are operating the deal. So in this case, if Carolyn, KJ, Joseph, Ione, Meyer, and myself, we have a deal, we're doing all the work, we would be the general partners. We're the ones operating the deal, okay? And if we raise capital, then those people that were raising capital from our investors are the limited partners. All they're doing is putting capital in, they're getting a return on their money. If it's a syndication, 70-30, meaning 70% of the equity the LPs get, 30% the GPs, us, we get. And or you see another one, typically 80-20, right? 80 for the LPs, 20 for the GPs. Depending on the deal, you can structure it differently. It doesn't have to be that way. Typically, those are the ones that you see normally. And then if the deal's small enough, like say it's a smaller deal, then you can just do a simple JV and bring in a private money lender if you need to. But you don't see that in a syndication. Typically, you're raising capital from investors and you're giving them a return based on the deal and on the equity splits.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I can't find it. There's too many comments. Hey, it's a good problem though. I like when you guys interact.
We have a question from Eddie. How do you guys find lenders for your deals? So do you mean commercial lenders or do you mean like investor lending?
Let's do both, right? I mean, I guess we already answered the commercial lending, right? So we've already got that one out there. We found them through word of mouth, Google, meetups, all that good stuff. And then when we have a deal, we present the deal. Hey, this is a deal. This is the numbers. This is everything we've got. What kind of quote can we get, right? Then they tell us. And lenders, you guys want to answer that one? Or I guess investors is the more appropriate word. You want to take that one?
Yeah. So how do you find lenders for your deals? Or if you're meeting investors, then that's all on your relationships that you have with investors that you meet, right? So Carolyn and Myron went to the Brad Sumrock event in Dallas. And a lot of the people there, we might as well should call it a sub two meetup, right? Because it was basically sub two people took over the event. And when I spoke to Myron said, dude, I missed I think he said 80 or 90% of the event just because he was building relationship with potential investors there. And that's all he did. He was on a mission. He was on a mission to go raise capital and talk to investors and pitch them the deal that we had. And so it really, Eddie, all you have to do is go out there, put yourself out there and build relationships with people who are either in the same industry or that can benefit from investing in real estate. So you have to go put yourself out there and build those relationships. It can start with your friends and family or go build more relationships with other people in whatever group that you're in. If you're sub two, perfect. Start there, right? If you're not, then go to your local RIAs, like what Carolyn was saying. Go to your local meetups. Go find these people and build relationships with them. Even your realtor or broker could probably be a potential investor in your deal. Don't discount anyone just because you think that they may not have money. That's a bad assumption. There's a lot of people here that we thought didn't have money, but they had money and they wanted to invest in our deals.
Here's an example. I don't come from money, not at all. My parents don't have a lot of money, but when I told my dad the deal that we were working on, he's like, I'm going to invest $250,000. I'm going to take my 401k and just dump it into y'all's property. Unfortunately, he couldn't do that. A bunch of regulations and stuff, but he's still willing to do that. He's considering quitting his job, taking his 401k out, and then putting it in with us and then reapplying to his job. He's legit considering it. And I told him not to do that, but who knows?
Oh my gosh.
Because 401 right now is taking a huge hit.
Yeah, he's using 21% on his money.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the fact that we were going to get him 12 as an average is fantastic. But my point is, it could be anyone. It could be your Uber driver. It could be your friend from your old W-2 or literally anyone. Literally anyone. Talk to people. I saw it earlier that Joel put a quote he heard. I think he heard Carlos said it, but I've heard lots of people say this is, hey, what do you do? Oh, I help people make money by investing in real estate. And there's multiple different versions of it, but you just tell people that. Hey, what do you do? Oh, thanks for asking. I help people invest in real estate in multifamily apartments or whatever you want to say, whatever version, whatever best fits you. Start telling people that. Spark up the conversation.
Beautiful.
Is there any more questions?
I feel like there is. We're just like not seeing them. I wish we would have a Q&A section.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Now is
all
the
the
time,
people-
guys. There's lots of people who always want to ask us questions and stuff. This is the time.
Let's do it. We haven't been on here in a couple weeks.
You guys, make sure you come on Fridays. I think Fridays are when it's lit. When I can DJ.
There you go. I got a question for you, DJ KJ.
What is the question?
What should we do? I have been having wholesalers hit me up with deals that don't make sense and are daisy chained. Don't want to be like them. What should we do to stand out compared to the others, bringing leads and deals like napkin underwriting, making sure it has $1 million upside?
If you can bring us a deal that you are direct to broker on, hold on, you can't see my face.
I got
There
you.
we go.
You need to see your face for this.
Yes, that you're direct to broker on, and if you napkin underwrote napkin underwrote it as well, and you have all the financials, and you've asked if there's an assumable loan, you've asked if they're willing to sell their finance. You tell me, hey, they're available to walk X amount of days, like, hey, you can go walk. Hey, the seller will get on a phone call. Like, I mean, that would be just like, wow. Like, that would be like, dang, okay. But I mean, at least minimum being direct to broker. Like, I think avoiding trying to take other people's deals. Like sometimes I feel like people just want to take the easy route and, oh, I see someone else has a deal, I'm going to bring it to you guys because I know you're buying. But I know some people who've like told me they're direct to broker, but then like their partner's partner is direct to broker, but they'll still tell me, oh, their partner is direct to broker. And then I end up finding out later on that's like really daisy chain, which like, I don't mind working with you guys doing that. I just need the transparency and honesty, because if it takes me, like, if I have to argue with you about getting on the phone call with the broker or the seller, then I'm not even going to have that conversation. I'll be like, I'm not interested. So I just think it's easier to be direct to broker. Just find your own deals.
Don't mess with KJ, guys.
And please no feelings about, oh, well, this is my deal. Well, someone else brought it to us like a day ago, so I don't know who's who here. Like, let's all be grown-ups. You know, that back to what KJ said, transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
if someone else is working it with you, just let us know, or like, let us know. Just let us know.
Because I will find out.
We will literally find out.
It's like
no idea the text chats that go on between
and let me throw this in there, guys, because the real estate industry in single family is pretty small, but in multifamily, it's even smaller.
Yep.
So it benefits you to be transparent and honest from the very, very beginning. Believe me, there's deals that come across our desk more than once, and we get feedback from it from other investors who have looked at it before. So don't be one of those people. Just be transparent, because it's a small world in the multifamily space.
Yeah, there's some
look bad, you stay looking bad.
Yeah, I was like, once you show that you're a daisy chainer, then any deal you ever send us, like, we just trash it. I'm not gonna look at it. So just being blunt and honest. It goes back to your core values and things like that, and like who we want to work with. Like, if from the get-go you're already lying about who's actually on the deal and about you being direct to broker, well, that doesn't sit right with me. That doesn't align with the kind of people I want to work with, and that doesn't start a good deal off at all. Like, I wouldn't want you to be part of it. I wouldn't want you to get paid. Like, I wouldn't want to work with you. Like, if I find out you're lying, or like you're fluffing it, oh, I'm direct to broker, and then like well, my partner who's partnered with this person is direct to broker. Like, you're not direct to broker, just be honest. So that's just how I feel about it. I think if you guys get over your fear, go get on the phone, go call brokers and bring deals that are from the brokers, that is a win. I mean, even going on LoopNet or Crexy and just going to the listings and doing a napkin underwrite and find something that works is way better.
Awesome. We are literally giving you the blueprint of exactly what we do to go find deals.
Yeah, like I see people tag us and stuff all the time, which I love that you guys think of us.
Yes,
but a lot of times, like, I'm like, okay, how daisy chained is this deal? How many people have seen this deal? You know what I mean? Like, most of the time, if it's online on Facebook, like we've never posted anything we've worked on Facebook ever. So Crexy, LoopNet and Crexy is that's where like the on market stuff is. And if anything, even if they're not deals, we'll go make friends with the brokers that are posting it and see how often they're working or how many deals they're doing. So that's a great way to find brokers doing multifamily instead of us going on LoopNet and just calling a whole list of people. Like, you can go and call people that are already listing multifamily properties and go make friends with them.
Bo said something funny because I was literally just about to say this. I've heard a lot of people say LoopNet is where deals go to die. I feel like that's prime picking. Am I wrong? Yes, a lot of people say LoopNet where deals go to die, but it is prime picking because we are creative finance magicians and we know how to talk to those brokers and solve the problems that everyone else can't. So we see it as an opportunity while others who are like probably mega players or they do shit all cash or whatever that is, they're like, meh, I don't really need to look at that. That's totally fine. They're at a different phase in season and growth. We like our creative finance. We like our assumable loans. We like our seller finance deals. And we will be more than happy to go find them on Crexy and LoopNet.
Yeah. And Bo, great question. Or I'm sorry, great statement. The deal that we have under contract in Tennessee right now, it was on the market for 8 months. And no one that came across that deal was able to solve the seller's problem until it came to our desk. We were the only ones that were able to solve their problem because we understand creative finance and how powerful seller finance was to that seller. So yes, you're right. Look at it from a different perspective. I don't know if you are, and you guys can correct me here, but if Bo, are you on sub 2? I'm not sure if you are or not. Okay,
Yes,
Carolyn says yes. So then you already have an edge on what most investors are out there looking for. Because a lot of them are just what Carolyn said. They're going through the conventional method, just traditional way to buy the deal. And if it doesn't make sense, they can move on to the next one. That can be your in to bring a deal that you structure, whether it's seller finance or a combination of, assumption, loan assumption, or creative, whatever you want to do, and bring that deal to either for you to tackle on with someone else, with another partner, or bring it to us and we'll help you tackle it down, because that's what we did. So yeah, you're right. It's a good opportunity for everyone that knows creative finance.
And like that cash deal that was on the market for 8 months, it did die. It died over there, but we literally revived that dead lead. That's awesome. That's so cool.
100%.
You guys are so lucky to be in sub 2 and like know all this knowledge.
It's not luck. We put ourselves there.
Exactly. It's combined effort.
I got a couple more questions. I got at least 3 right here. There we go. Here's one. Do you have to put 25% or more down when going with a commercial lender? Yeah, typically you do. If it is a conventional method, they're usually going to ask for 20 to 35% down. It just depends on what kind of leverage you get, right? And you don't have to actually put that down. You can raise that money from other people. But what you will need to have is a key principal, someone to be able to actually sign on the loan.
Sponsor.
So they're gonna have to have, or sponsor, yeah, interchangeable. Key principal, sponsor. You're gonna hear both of them. They're the same thing. that person, whoever it is, or multiple people, are gonna need to have equivalent net worth of the loan that you're getting. So if your loan is 20 million, the people or person that signed on the loan have a net worth equivalent to 20 million or more. So those are some of the things that we were looking for early on, is finding someone who could be a key principal for us on deals like that. But as you do your first one and then you keep going and get more, well, your net worth is constantly growing because you keep adding properties to it. So find a key principal or bring it to us. Here is another question. What is the best way to become a GP?
Ooh, another good question.
It is a good question.
You got some pretty good questions tonight, guys. Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them
Or if
coming.
not, write them down and come to our Friday session where you'll see DJ KJ in the house. Okay, so Ryan asked, what is the best way to become a GP, a general partner, meaning the people that will be operating the deal if it's syndicated, right? They're the ones who are doing all the work, even after it closes. They're the ones doing the day-to-day stuff. There's many ways to become a GP. I'll name a few, and Joseph and KJ, you guys can name a few if I missed any. But one of them is being a KP, a key principal, or a sponsor, right? You get a GP position for signing your name on the loan documents, right? So if you're in here and you're worth $1 billion, which is if you are, reach out to us.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you've got the net worth and you've got the liquidity and you just want to sign your name on the loan documents, that's a ticket into becoming a GP. Another way is for you to bring a deal, right? Like you're the one looking for the deal. You structured it. It looks good. You underwrote it. Bring it deal. That's grounds for a GP, for a general partner. Another way to get yourself your foot in the door is to become boots on the ground for that particular deal, right? So let's say, like, we're all, for the most of us, we're in Texas, we're Dallas and Houston, right? But let's say we have a person that brings us a deal and they're in, like, I don't know, South Carolina or something like that. But they have brought us a deal from South Carolina and that's where they live. They're like 10, 15 minutes away from the property. They can have a position just for being boots on the ground for that particular deal. That's another way. Another way to do it too, and this is kind of like in the gray, but one other way is to bring capital to the deal, right? Like you can be the capital raiser for that particular deal if you're looking for capital. You're like, hey, let's say I'm talking to Joseph. I'm like, Joseph, I need someone that can bring me $1 million for my capital raise. And Joseph's like, I can be that person. I've got investor connections. I'll bring you that $1 million that you need in exchange for a GP position. Perfect. Let's do it. Those are grounds for a GP position. And there's other ways you can get creative with it. I've heard so many other ways to become a GP, but those are some of the more common ones that you'll hear, unless I missed anything, Joseph and KJ.
No, I think you hit it on the mark. There is other things, but those are the most simplistic to get your foot in the door. I would just start with those. Any one of those would be fine. You said sourcing deals too, right?
Yeah, bring a deal, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, and that one. Let me say this, and you take it away. It's not a guarantee that you'll get a position in the deal just for bringing a deal. It has to make sense. More often than not, you'll just get a portion of the acquisition fee. So keep that in mind.
100%. And we can get more into this, but yeah, you're right. Pretty much, yeah. But I don't want to get into it.
I was gonna say, if you want to be in it and you want equity and you have nothing else to bring to the table other than bringing us the deal, make sure it's in your own backyard. Because if you can be boots on the ground, that's something that we can work with. But if you're pulling stuff in a different state and you're brand spanking new and you're wanting equity in the deal, that's going to be pretty hard because everyone has to have a role. we learned that the hard way. Can't just be in the deal. And I'm sure that's what Oscar meant. We'll get into it later, but yeah, everyone
Yeah,
needs to have a
exactly.
role.
Yeah.
So you got to have something to bring to the table. So if you're in your own backyard, that makes it a lot easier.
Wonderful. How much do you ask investors for? Like, do you have a base number like 20, 30K?
So yes and no. There is a base number on some of the deals that it depends on the underwriting. And maybe Joseph can touch up on why don't you touch up on the underwriting first and kind of have a base on that first?
Definitely. So, like Oscar said, it depends on the underwriting. And what we mean by it depends on the underwriting is depending on how you want to structure it, right? If it's a syndication or versus is it a JV? If it's a JV, you typically want less people in it. So if it's less people in it, then you want to kind of figure out that beforehand. Because if it's a syndication, you can't take any money until you do the paperwork. So let's say we're trying to raise $1 million, right? Pretty minuscule amount in comparison to some of these other ones, right? It doesn't sound like it, but it is. So would you rather have 1 or 2 people come in with the $1 million, or would you rather have 30 people come in with $1 million, right? It's really dependent on what you're trying to do. If it's a syndication, then it really doesn't matter. As long as you get the right people in place, you get the right paperwork, then as long as you get the money you need, doesn't necessarily matter. It's kind of the same thing with the JV, but with the JV, you have to structure it in a way where everyone has a role, right? It goes back to it, everyone has to have a role. So if it's a JV, yes, they can be a little bit more passive, but they still have to have a role in the deal. So you want it's kind of a gray area, right? And I don't want to get too much into it because I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to give out falsification or any kind of bad advice. So disclaimer, here's the banner. So it's really just dependent on what you're looking for. For example, we were looking for close to 900,000, and we ideally wanted to have smaller amount of people come in. So we were looking for 6 people to come in with 150,000, right? Ultimately, that kind of changed a little bit. We had some people who wanted to put in more. We had some people who wanted to put in less. We had some people that just want to pay for the whole thing. So we're still currently putting that together, but it just really depends on how you structure it and then what it is you're looking for. So you can just tell people, hey, we're looking for the X amount of dollars total. It's a minimum of this to put in, right? You can go and do that. But for us, I mean, if we could get one person to come in and put the whole thing down, they're going to be really happy with their returns, and we're going to be happy with a great partner, one partner that we don't have to manage a bunch of different bank accounts for only one person, right? So it's all up to the deal structuring. It's all very flexible. You just have to make sure whichever direction you go, you do the right paperwork and follow the regulations. Do your homework.
Yeah, man, I want to dive deeper into this, but like you said, we're not CPAs, we're not attorneys, we're not financial advisors. We could go on and off on the syndication process, 506B versus 506C, right? There's so many things that we can add in here, but I don't want to get into that much. Basically, what Joseph said is the gist of it, and maybe in the future, we're talking about doing a Zoom in the future where we might bring in an attorney that speaks about that topic, and so that everybody gets the most I guess beneficial and correct information that comes from a credible source, right? So we don't say anything we're not supposed to.
And that way we're not responsible.
Exactly.
Okay.
Love it. Dang, we've been on here an hour and a half.
Let's take a few more.
Is that a question? How do I learn this?
How do I learn about need to know terms, how to underwrite, understand taxes, learn what's legal in what states? I think take a baby step.
Exactly.
Do one thing at a time. Like that's kind of what we did. My first thing was like, how do I find a deal? And then go from there. Like, I don't even know what's legal in our state. I don't understand taxes,
Basically anything.
and I don't know how to underwrite very well. So if that tells you anything, you can do this. You don't need to know everything. You can hire people, or you have people on your team who are better at doing certain things that you can depend on. So, this seems like an analytical person who's like, like, hold on, let me make sure I
No,
know what
no,
I'm doing.
I agree. I agree. This is Jada who said that, and I've spoken to Jada before. She's in sub two. She's awesome.
She's
And
killing
so
it right now.
yeah, she is. And so it's what KJ and Carolyn just said is baby steps, right? You don't need to know everything because we still don't know everything, but we're leveraging the people that do, right? We're bringing in our partner who's also our mentor in our deal in Tennessee, and leveraging them is just made everything so much more easier for us, right? We're doing all the other stuff, like we're understanding what like some of the underwriting more accurately, like property taxes, insurance, and whatnot, all these other things like property management, and what it entails. But you don't need to understand the tax part of it because you're going to bring in your team a bookkeeper or CPA that will handle that for you, right? And then the legal is also something that we're not going to be focused on. We're not attorneys. We're not going to learn it. We're going to go hire an attorney, which we did. We ended up hiring an attorney who's local to that state and understands the law, because we don't have time for that. Like we need to get, we have due diligence period. We have to get things done. Imagine if we had to figure out the contract and the legalities of it and the taxes, we wouldn't get done. We'd have to have like a whole year of due diligence before we can close a deal. Right. So just leverage those people and relationships. And I think that's what will get you to that area that you need to go. You don't need to know it all. Just take it one step at a time and leverage your partners.
I just want to add to that real quick and say I totally agree. It's all about baby steps. It's not producing anxiety about and overwhelm about what I don't know right now. Focus on the one thing. And I think a lot of the overwhelm comes from what happens when I submit an LOI and they accept it. Like, oh, we're not playing games anymore. This is real. Like now I have to go commit. It's all real. It all like ties back to commitment in this too. Just start with one commitment. Go call a broker, go find a deal. Just focus on that. And it's the who, not how afterwards.
I think we've all felt this way too.
Yeah.
Like I still feel this way sometimes. Like we're doing deals now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're doing a deal, but then what? You know, there's always the then what that you haven't got to yet that's scary, but you can't let the fear get in, and you just have to know like you're
Don't
just
let it
gonna
stop you.
take action, you're gonna learn as you go. And like that's why we come on here and share, because like everything, I'm sure majority of what we're talking about now, like a few months ago, we didn't know any of it or a lot of it. Like we are literally learning as we go by just taking action. And it's like, okay, on to the next step. You know, there's like a meme I see of a ladder that has like six.
I love that meme.
Yeah, there's six of them, or there's a bunch of them. It's like trying to climb to the top when there's like only a few, versus climbing to the top when there's a lot of little ones. It's like so much easier just by taking baby steps. So,
Baby climbing.
yeah.
Love it. How can one watch this later? Ladies?
On YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channels
Yes.
and our Instagrams.
And it'll stay in the Facebook group too, or on our Facebook pages. It doesn't go anywhere. You can come back and watch it.
This is amazing.
Are some brokers multifamily investors we can work with? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone and everyone. That's the answer to the question.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anyone and everyone.
Yep.
I'm confused by this one. Did we say something?
I don't know, but we definitely do hire property management companies. We do not want to manage properties. That is not what we're trying to
I
do.
believe it was because of the boots on the ground as a GP.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So boots on the ground versus manager. Boots on the ground is the person that is nearby the property. If somebody has to go collect the mail or be there for some kind of survey or contractor to come in or do something, a lot of that can be handled by your property manager, but it is good to have a person there that is part of your team that owns a piece of the property, so that way that you know they're going to do the job as best they can do, because you always take care of something better when you own it versus when you don't.
Well, also, like, you can't just leave the property management company and not like you still need to oversee them and make sure they're doing their job and that they don't get comfortable. So it is good to have someone out there that's the owner to come in and make sure they're doing their job. Like, as much as you want to trust people, too much, what's the word? Like, you don't want to be too lenient, and people get comfortable and things start slipping, kind of like kids in the classroom, like you got to be a strict but cool teacher at the same time. You can't get too cool because then they start acting up.
Nope.
Love it. Whip out that ruler. Find deal, underwrite, and then look for investors. What's the right steps when starting?
Karen, it looked like she had done that before or something, right? Myron, I need to talk to Myron. Like, hey, bro, does that look familiar?
I just gotta do this, and no one f's with me.
And I'm about to start doing that.
I think finding investors is number one.
You think so?
Yeah, like obviously
Find your
for
buyers.
myself, like if we, I don't know, I think it's good to already be planting seeds for people like, hey, I'm doing multifamily, I'm gonna have opportunities coming up, who's got money, you know what I mean, rather than
what was that like little blueprint that we got from our mentor? It was like deal,
debt, equity.
Yeah.
Deal, debt, equity. That's the order of importance. But at the top, people. So I understand where you're coming from, KJ.
Yeah.
But I would not start with going around telling people before you have a deal. I would start trying to find the deal, and while you're doing that, letting people know what you're doing.
Yeah, I think
I know where you're getting at.
Okay,
Always
planting seeds.
planting seeds, looking for investors. Absolutely. But you should, if you're serious about getting started, find a deal first.
Yeah, because then you don't have anything to pitch if you don't have a deal.
Yeah, but Braulio, I think Carolyn had touched on this earlier, as far as the order that we go through and how most deals go through, right? You find the deal, you underwrite it, then you do the structure of it and LOI, purchase and sell agreement, due diligence, closing, and then the real work starts after that when you own it. So if you want to go back, watch the replay again, we touched on this at the beginning of how the conveyor belt should go.
One question. How will you guys handle the high insurance and roof repairs here in Dallas? Lots of hailstorms every year and hard water which rust out the pipes. How is maintenance accounted for? Hailstorms is covered by insurance. So get insurance on your properties, and you put that insurance quote into your underwriting, so it's already accounted for. So that handles that. You just file the claim, and they come and do it. Hard water, which rusts out the pipes. So during your due diligence, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but during your due diligence, that's one of the things you would want to check. Make sure everything's up to date, looks good, not going to cause any issues in the near future. That's something you would want to look for, and make sure you account for it. Whether you retrade on price to get a discount because of the impending repairs that you're going to have to do, or whether you have the seller repair that stuff or get it fixed before you actually close on the property. It's open to negotiations, however you want to handle it. Just like single family, right? Everything's open to negotiations. That would be something you just want to know those things before you close on it. And if you're good with it, close on it. If you're not good with it, don't close on it. Go find another one.
Joel, do you have a deal that you're working on that has this issue right now? Do you need help with that?
If so, let us know or reach out to us, and we can definitely help out. All right, what else you got, Joseph?
There you go. That's the KJ Carolyn one right there.
What's the best way you guys have found in building relationship with brokers? I'll say my little piece. It's basically just, you're going to find that energy right off the bat when you get on the phone with them. If they are in it to win with you, or if they're like, there's just nothing out there. They're not in the market. Like there's nothing in the market. The numbers are off. It's not, we're not going to find your criteria here. Like if they're giving you that right off the bat, there's no relationship that's going to be built with them on our end. Like, okay, on to the next one. That's actually going to be like, you know what? I know this person. I know that person. Maybe I can check for you. Like you're going to know their energy. And then once you find that broker, you're just going to tap in and start, going over the whole rapport with them, like build that, strong rapport and let them know your objectives and your goals right off the bat. If they can hear the confidence in your voice when you're talking about your goals and your team and your objective and the markets you want to be in, and we want 1,000 doors by the end of 2023, they're going to get their energy revved up and they're going to be able to okay, let's set up a time to do a meeting. That's another thing. We do Zoom meetings with our brokers to get that face-to-face interaction and make that connection that much stronger between them. What about you, KJ?
I definitely agree. I think you hit a lot of everything I would say too. Just be yourself, be honest, transparent. Follow up with them. Show that you're serious. They don't want a lot of times brokers have a wall up because they get tired of people wasting their time. So just as much as you want that broker to be serious, they want you to be serious too. So one of my brokers that I talk to often, he always tells me how much he appreciates the fact that I respond to him. Just responding to him would make a bigger difference than most people. So I mean, just being able to every time they call, I answer. Unless I'm doing something extremely important, I will answer because I'm it's important that they know that they're important to me and that I'm going to get back to them. And that makes a huge difference because most people won't. A lot of people like to ignore the phone call and just text or take a couple days to respond or just forget about them. And they'll send you deals and stuff and then you never respond. That's going to look bad. If you're having a broker send you deals, follow up with them, give them feedback, tell them what you're looking for, tell them this is why this deal didn't work for us. This is why we can't do this deal, but I appreciate you sending me this deal. And let's try and pivot and look more for deals that fit this criteria. They want the feedback, the communication, the honesty. And then Carolyn said, get on Zoom with them. It's more personable. They see who you are. It feels, I don't know. Yeah, it feels more comfortable. And then if you are able to meet in person, take them to lunch, get to know them. And you don't have to make it all about business. Get to know them as people. They're people just like you are. Make friends with them. That's what's worked for us so far.
Yeah, and on top of that, I want to highlight what Carolyn said, because you guys, this is gold what they're giving you, because this is literally more than 600 broker calls that these two have made. And out of those 600 plus, and they're still doing them every day, I mean, there's more than that. Out of those 600 phone calls, not all 600 brokers or so picked up their phone or they had a conversation with 600. Out of all those, they probably kept about a dozen or more that were truly really good brokers, really, really good brokers. And they're so freaking amazing that they're also bought into they know our goal and they want to help us get to that goal. There's one in particular in Houston, and I know you guys know which one I'm talking about, that is constantly in communication with us, and he cares about our goal, and he wants to get us to that goal. He wants to. He's so bought into that. I'm like, let's get you your 1,000 units, guys. I'm gonna work with you guys. And he told us from the beginning that at first, for whatever reason, he didn't want to work with us. I don't remember what it was, but then he ended up calling KJ back and was like, you know what? I do want to work with you guys, because he believed in what we were doing and he saw the passion and our goals and everything resonated with him. He chose to work with us, and he's still working with us till this day. That's how important it is to keep those relationships with those brokers, because they will be your number one cheerleaders when it comes to finding a deal for you guys.
Absolutely.
100%. All right, I got 2 more questions, and then we're gonna hop off of here because we got lives too, guys. All right. One question from Jose. Is 6% of rents for a property manager about right? If not, what percent, or do you guys shoot to try and pay a salary? It depends. Is that 6% include payroll, or does it not include payroll? Right? Those are things you want to look at. As far as percent wise, I've seen it as low as 3, and I've seen it as high as 10. So it just depends. I think someone told us 12, and we told them hell no. But it ranges, right? And don't just go with the first person you talk to. Talk to multiple people, and generally you want to talk to a property manager that's in that region and manages similar properties and has at least 1,000 units under the belt. And if they don't have 1,000 units, ask why. How long have they been doing it? Are they new? You know, what's their track record? Can we go see some of the properties you manage currently? You know, what do you do in this scenario? How do people get a hold of you, right? These are all questions that you would want to ask. And I would prefer to only pay the property management percentage and they cover payroll. That would be my preference. Less accounting to worry about, and I don't have to pay for someone to be there. They will be the person there, or they will send someone there, and it's all included in that percentage. Okay. As an LP, what range of annualized returns plus cash on cash is reasonable if looking to get into a deal? Totally get that it might be dependent on the deal. Definitely is dependent, and it ranges. For a Class A, you're looking at like a minimum 4% or higher, minimum 4%. For a Class C, you probably want to be upwards of 7 or 8 minimum. And the reason being, there's more risk involved with the Class C, so you want better returns. So that's a generalized statement. It's truly dependent on who your investor is. What kind of returns do they want to see? That's what ultimately matters. If they will invest at 1% returns, boom, do it, right? But you want whatever the investors you have available, what are they looking for as returns? Because remember, it's about your investors, not about you. It's about making your investors money. And that was something that we had to learn, and it changed a lot for us once we were told that. And I believe it took us 2 or 3 times to hear it. But when we were getting grilled for our poor numbers of a deal that we were showing, and we were taking that criticism positively rather than negatively, which is a very important skill everyone should learn. When we were taking that criticism and heard what they said, it's about the investors because you want them to keep coming back. That's what switched for us. And since then, we've been doing very well. So I think that answered the question.
I have a lot of people. I think there was like 4 or 5 people just today, saying that they want to do walkthroughs with us. How do we feel about that, and how would we go about that?
I'm not opposed to it. I think it would have to be situation by situation type of deal, and not like a mass group of people. Um,
Not like
if
Carlos.
you're interested in, yeah, we're not at that stage. But if you're interested in doing something like that, I would just reach out to one of us directly, and we could talk about the potential of doing that. I'm not opposed to it.
Bring us
I'm
a
not
deal in
opposed either.
Houston. Bring us a
Yes.
deal, and let's walk it.
Yeah, you bring
That
it,
would be really
you can
cool.
walk it all day with us.
That would be so cool.
We'll show you how we do it.
I think people, like, especially the visionaries, they need that in-person, hands-on visual experience to like really wrap their minds. Same. Yep.
All us, except for Joseph.
Wrap our minds around
That's right.
what is it that we're actually doing. Like, we see the documents, we see the emails, we see the calls, or we hear the calls, but like, oh wow, this is what it is in real life. And then you get to see all the like nooks and crannies of everything you've been working on.
Or you find things that they were lying to you about or
Yeah.
hiding. That's always fun. It's like, ooh, more potential, more reason to, more opportunity. So it's exciting. I mean, I don't mind it. I enjoy it. And I like talking to people. So
Love it. Well, I think, does that
Fantastic.
wrap up our questions?
There is one more from Joelle, if you guys would like to answer it. I believe it's a quick one here. I lost it. 1 second. There you go. Boom.
Some brokers want to talk with the team and have Zoom calls or meet in person for lunch to get to know us. Do we bring the whole team or discuss it or discuss, or is it better with one partner? I think it's a great impression to have the entire team or as many people on your team there, because they're going to get that visual and say like, oh, you can break down who is in charge of what. These are our underwriters, these are our capital raisers, these are our outreach, and like put a face to the name. Sometimes we have these meetings where it's just a couple of us, or like maybe a couple of us are doing a walkthrough at the same time, or whatever that is. We make it work, but I would personally say the entire team on a Zoom call.
And I wouldn't tell them you have a team if you don't actually have a team. Make sure you're being transparent and honest. Like, I don't know what you're pitching to them, but just make sure you're using your own goals and true information about what you're doing, because it's going to come back and bite you in the butt if you don't. Like, if they're expecting a whole team and you don't actually have a team, that may not turn out too well, and then that's going to burn bridges. And like we said, multifamily space is a small space. So once people think, oh, you can't trust this person, you don't want to start off that way.
Ask us how we learned that.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about right there. Yeah. We learned by example. We learned by
experience.
Yeah. So I was literally going to say that. I was like, we did that. We used our mentors' goals and it backfired multiple times over and over. And they didn't believe us. And we immediately discredit ourselves because we used our mentor's goal, or we said, hey, we have a sponsor that is going to be coming in and doing it. Well, then they would just want the sponsor's information. They want their bio, they want their portfolio, they want all this information. It's like, well, that's a lot more work. I don't want to do any of that. And it's a lot harder to actually come up with that stuff. So just be transparent. If it's your first deal, tell them, hey, I've been doing a lot of work in the single family space and I'm looking to get in multifamily. This would be my first project. I have people that will work with me, but this would be my first property. You can just say that. Simple as that.
Honesty is key.
Definitely.
That's how we roll.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
Well, I believe that's it.
Thank you for joining us today. It was a little later than we had scheduled it, but that's because the Muds and Myron were walking properties, and Carolyn, being the super mom that she is, was handling business over there. and we were underwriting some deals, so we had to start a little bit later. But thank you guys for staying here almost 2 hours, guys.
Woo!
Doing this live.
It's a little welcome back episode.
KJ, announcements for this week and how they can follow us. Whatnot.
Yes. If you're not in our Facebook group, you should join. It's called Multifamily, the $1 Million Upside. That's where you can find all our information. You can connect with like-minded people. Every Friday, we do a multifamily Zoom. Last Friday, we had 90 people on, which was insane because we cap out at 100 people. So we are working on getting things more organized and put together for you guys. We have a lot coming your way. This week we're going to set up something to where you can sign up and we can email blast you and text message you the links to everything, so that way it's easier to keep up with when we're doing stuff. So and then Friday morning is when we always do our weekly recap where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. So we'll talk about our walkthroughs. We got another walkthrough with Oscar tomorrow. We've got calls with brokers this week. We've got all kinds of stuff going on this week. So if you want to hear about our journey through multifamily, join us at 10 a.m. Central for the recap, and then 12 p.m. Central for Zoom. So the recap is live like this, but the Zoom is more personable and I'm able to play music without copyright problems. So we get a little more lit in there. Then y'all can raise your hand.
It's the private club. It's the OnlyFans.
It's
Only
the
fans
MF Zoom. So, oh, I like that. That's fancy.
Just
But
made
yeah.
it.
Oh, look
Nice.
at you.
I like that. Yeah. So join us on Fridays. That's when we'll be back. And if y'all got stuff y'all have questions on, just shoot us a text or a message or whatever it is, and we'll try and help you out.
Put our handles up there, Joseph, so people can follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, please shout us out. Like that makes us feel so good. It makes it all so worth it. Like if you're learning from us and you're getting value, like that's love language. Helping us get out there. That's funny, Bo.
That's a good one, Bo. I love it. Only multi-fans. Oh my gosh. Yes. Shout us out. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We love it. We love to see that we're providing value and knowledge to all of you. And it just brings more like-minded people to the group, to the hive. And yeah, that's what we want. That's why we cap our Zooms at 100, because we don't want all these riffraffs getting in there who don't have interest in multifamily. We need to keep it focused. I just made that up. That's not
It's
really
exclusive.
Totally
It's exclusive. So you guys gotta be on time.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna play our outro music and then we're out.
Oh, I hate that thing. Oh my gosh.
He's gonna put your baby to sleep with that thing.
Honestly.
I'm gonna put him to sleep like this.
Kalimba.
All
right,
guys.
Good night.
Peace out, all. Love y'all. Have a great night.